Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is scheduled for one fall. Introducing your hosts, Kids at Heart.
What up, kids?
Yo, what's going on, party people? It's episode 27 of Wrestle Reel. My name is Chris MSK Anthony Lopez. Joining me per usual is Vince's illegitimate son, Nick Mulbach.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. No,
that's a rad MSK shirt, Nick.
Yes. So I did, as said in the, in funny enough, I'm pretty sure the last episode that we recorded. No, maybe. I said that I was ordering this shirt, and it showed up, and it's beautiful.
That's a really rad shirt.
I needed it, and I bought it, and Justin Cole in chat. What's up? Hey, Justin.
What's up, Justin?
I needed this shirt. It's I love it. Chris Anthony Lopez, you know what I'm about to talk about, but did you watch any wrestling this week?
Oh, I actually did. I watched a decent amount of wrestling. I have a few things that I would like to mention, though. First off, I made the mistake of going to Walmart yesterday.
Okay.
Because I had some issues with my car the last few weeks, and I got my car back on Tuesday. I was a really happy boy, and I went to Walmart to go, stock up on certain things, and I bought these. I bought this.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, they have a Macho Man. That's Walmart.
They had a little Macho Man ski. I'm like, I gotta get this.
I didn't know that there was a Macho Man that was Walmart exclusive.
And my Walmart had a few. And I was like, that's some real stuff. But the thing that I bet you're gonna dig is this 2-pack, The Rock and Mankind.
Yo, look at that!
I solely bought it for the Mankind. I thought that Mankind was really damn cool, but they nailed The Rock too.
Oh, and he's got the championship.
He got the belt. Yep. And yes, so I spent a good amount of money. No regrets over here. I love my pops. Now I can add them to my other ones. I have a bunch over here on the side. But
Jesus, sorry. Still is my only wrestling one is AJ.
And that's one hell of a wrestling one to have. Like I got my translucent John Cena over there, my Sasha Banks, my Bailey, my Zack Ryder, my Undertaker in my living room.
An interesting set. You got Finn, you got Foley, and you got fucking Goldberg.
Right. I got this little Balor ski. I've showed this on the show before. My little Lucy.
That's quite the find right there.
Yeah, it's the chase of that Balor figure on the back of the styles.
He wants the Vince chase. I believe that's the one in the pink outfit.
I almost bought the Vince chase. Saw some guys selling it on Twitter. I was this close to being like,
was it the pink outfit then?
Yeah, I think it was the pink one. Yeah. Like I love. I don't buy pops too often unless I really dig them. And I saw these, I'm like, damn it!
Oh,
I had to.
Man, how do you not buy the Macho Man?
Right, and this Macho Man is nuts. It's ridiculously bright and green, and I love it. But I did watch some wrestling this week. But I want to emphasize the Miz 24 for a second. That's the one thing in wrestling this week that really caught my eye.
Yeah.
I like on this show we talk about the Miz all the time, and for good reason. Like we love the Miz over here at Wrestle Reel, and I mean Nick. Growing up not too far from where the Miz grew up.
That's right.
And like it's pretty damn cool. But that WWE 24 was so. It was probably one of the better documentaries that the network has put out, because the Miz is such a polarizing character. Because of all the misconceptions, I think it's cleared up a lot of I don't want to say theories. What's what I'm looking for? Rumors, and like it debunked a lot of things. I loved this WWE 24. If you have not seen the Miz's new 24, I highly, highly recommend it. It's really damn good. Really damn good. Like I love it. The second I finished it, I texted Nick. I'm like, yo, man, you gotta watch this 24.
And I need to still. I definitely want to. The second that it was announced, I'm like, how could I not?
Right.
It's literally one of my favorite human beings of all time. I love The Miz. He's one of my favorite people. Excuse me. So I definitely will be checking it out. Was there any big standouts that don't get into, I guess, spoilers of what people are going to find in there?
They talked a lot about the Miz. They show a lot of the Miz from when he was on MTV. They talked about Mike Mizanin, the person, and his dad was featured a lot. They spotlighted Maurice for a lot of that. They showed how they met. They have their little what's it called, a meet cute? Is that what it is in movies? Yeah. They showed theirs in the thing, and it's like pretty damn cool. I love this 24. That there's some surprising interviews in this. There's some folks that talk about the Miz openly and candidly. They talk about WrestleMania 27 in the main event, and it's just watch this. Just watch it. It's really damn good. Justin Cole in the chat. Miz, greatest intercontinental champion of all time.
Wow.
Actually tried to make the title the most relevant. He did. And they talked about that too. They talked about that. But that's one hell of a take, Justin. The greatest intercontinental champion of all time. Is it because he's had what's it, the second most reigns outside of Redacted, Chris Jericho?
We can say his name.
I mean, the Forbidden Door has been opened. Yes, because I think he's only second to Jericho, if I'm not mistaken.
It would not surprise me if the Miz, at the time his career is over, if he's beaten that record. Especially with the Forbidden Door being shut on Jericho's name really being mentioned a lot.
Facts.
I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be opposed. I always kind of wanted that second world title reign to be more meaningful than the first because both of them kind of weren't great. And as a person who is a huge fan of The Miz, no matter where he's from, it's kind of crazy to me that I don't know. He's not a good face for sure.
The Miz?
But he's the best heel wrestling, in my opinion, within our generation. That
The Miz is the best heel of the last 10 years.
For sure. He's more or less inspired MJF's character in my opinion, in AEW.
And MJF will never admit it, if that's the case. If it's the case, MJF will never admit it.
When he was here for AIW, the second that he came out, he reminded me of The Miz. So I don't know. That's an early on kind of a drawing of a comparison there.
But Shug agreeing with Justin. What's up, Shug? How you doing, brother?
I love The Miz. I will always love The Miz, so I'm definitely going to be checking this out too. And I love The Miz's dad.
I know you'll love, and George is in it. Mr. Miz is definitely in this thing. They talked to Mr. Miz, Morrison. They talked to Zack Ryder's in this.
Wow. I did hear that he was going to be.
Yeah, and there's some other interviews in this that people give their 2 cents on The Miz, and it's really surprising. And you see some really cool stuff, some behind the scenes stuff that is just eye opening. And sure. And Nick, before we talk about your wrestling real quick, Shug says, who's excited for that Savage Steamboat match doc on Sunday? Is that the Macho Man biography on A&E? Is that what that is?
It would. I think that might be up next. I know that they already did 1 or 2 of them.
They did Stone Cold on A&E, and they did Roddy Piper.
Wow.
So
interesting order that they're doing these in. There isn't really is the thing.
But I'm excited for that Macho Man thing on Sunday. Oh yeah.
I've been watching a ton of Wrestling with Regret because we love Brian Zane here.
We love Brian Zane.
But the thing that stood out to me the most was I literally minutes before we started was finishing up, or at least I'm halfway through, watching the Wrestling with Regret where he reviews the Illegitimate Son, because that whole thing is a complete disaster. There were so many different plans. One of the things was incredibly damning that caused that to not go the direction that it was supposed to, which was a certain thing that happened right after Vince McMahon figuratively died.
Yes.
And Mr. Kennedy was supposed to be the illegitimate son.
Yeah,
Then
he got roided out.
he got roided out. So then it's Hornswoggle. But the thing that stands out to me is just how awkward WWE was back then and how they try, and it's funny enough how the WWE tries to erase a lot of their history.
Right.
Like on the network, you will never hear. Give me a fucking mic! But because of Wrestling with Regret, we have it here on the channel. Same thing is probably going to go for the clip that I want to pull to put on the show. And that is, so I'm in the process of listening to this and watching this episode of Wrestling with Regret.
Mm-hmm.
And Vince is like, oh, the guy who's reading the stuff is going, your son's skin is fair. And Vince McMahon goes, you mean my son is Caucasian? You mean my son is Caucasian? If there was like anything in the early 2000s that like the WWE, and also poor Mark Henry really wanted to be Vince McMahon's illegitimate son.
I bet.
I was watching that, and I rushed because I had eaten something before the show. I had rushed to pull this clip, so I download the video of the entire segment, and it's not there. That part of it is not there. Now, there is a part in it where Vince is going, if you're not Caucasian, leave, or something like that. Now, that's just bad. But the part that I wanted to pull, the clearly more offensive part of it, is not in existence anymore. Kind of strange there, WWE. I don't know. I just think it's kind of funny. And maybe at the beginning of the segment it was said and I just completely missed it. But I'm pretty sure that they just completely nixed that part of history. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, no. Like, I certainly... I'm in the camp where I think Wrestle Reel should just pull like the most controversial clips in wrestling history. And we play those. That's our archive.
Oh boy, there's gonna be a lot
and then 69 Me Don.
There's gonna be a lot of Vince McMahon doing a lot of.
There'd be a lot of Vince
offensive things.
God wrestling, got to do that. Like I want Wrestle Reel to become the most controversial clip show on the internet.
I mean, listen, Vince. There's already a few points that are coming straight to my head right now. I think you know of one of them. And let's just leave it at this. Booker T is poor Booker T.
Poor Booker T, man.
Like overall, you know how much I love Booker T. Poor Booker T.
Right.
But before we get into too much of our controversial wrestling takes, let's get into our first segment that has nothing to do. And a point that I wanted to make as we were doing this show today was we are the show that leads you into SmackDown that doesn't talk about the live show whatsoever.
Hell no, we're not talking about SmackDown. No, why would we? Why would we?
Even though Daniel Bryan is probably going to retire tonight.
I will. Don't spoil my high spot, Nick.
Oh.
So, Kenny Omega won the Impact World Championship this past Sunday at Impact Rebellion. He beat Rich Swann. Now he's all the belts. He has the AEW World Championship, the TNA World Championship, and the Impact World Championship. My man has 3 belts. And let's also not forget he has the AAA title as well. So my man has a lot of belts.
That's right.
Nick, I want to start this conversation off by asking you, how do you feel about one person holding multiple different promotions belts? Because, I mean, we've seen this before. We've seen guys, especially in Impact / TNA, where all the belts are on one man or 2 men in one case. Yeah. So what do you think of Kenny's situation right now?
I think there's a few ways to look at it. In no situation is the person face ever,
right?
Which is good because I don't think that that's necessarily a likable character. But there's 2 ways to look at this. Austin Aries, we won't talk about, but he's one of those guys who was a collector for a little while,
right?
On the other hand, let's talk about Bobby Lashley for a moment, who was that collector of championships in Impact Wrestling. They did that more just to bolster the stock of of Bobby Lashley. When Kenny Omega is the Impact champion, it benefits Impact. Because though it could turn into an LOL Kenny wins type situation, which I don't think that it is quite yet. That is very true.
Justin Cole bringing up the comments of every major promotions champions are heel right now except Belair on SmackDown.
Yeah, which is weird because I don't know. Which is strange to me just because like I always kind of thought that Rhea was a face, but then I see her teaming up with the tag team champions who are heels. I'm like, oh, all right.
Right.
It's one of the things of me not necessarily regularly watching the shows, and then, hey Joe, how are you?
What's good, brother?
It's a point of me not always watching the live shows, but going into WrestleMania, I'm going, oh my gosh, Rhea Ripley, the fans are here, they're cheering her, and that's just because the fans are there. You know what I mean? There was probably not really even a wrestler in existence who was going to get booed that day, just because everybody was so excited to culminate.
Right.
Except for certain wrestlers. Miz and Morrison maybe, but I think people were even happy to see them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. Was that the first time Morrison was in front of a live crowd since he came back?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's been a while. It's been a long time.
He came back January or December of 19 or 20.
Yeah, and they stuck him straight with the Miz, which is just crazy.
And yeah, he was at the Rumble in 2020.
Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. I remember that exactly. I don't even know how to forget that because Morrison's that guy that I want to win the world championship so badly because I love the guy. That said, to our point, I think that this can only benefit TNA. I think having your championship on a guy who is regularly on primetime TV in TNT with AEW and is going to come out with your championship, which is going to happen. It not only opens up that forbidden door, but it gets more eyes on your product. Take, for example, on AEW, Jon Moxley will be defending his IWGP US Championship in 2 weeks.
Right.
In 2 weeks, yes. And you know, this goes everywhere when it comes down to it. Pardon me doing my research while I'm doing the show, but there is a situation where there's a New Japan guy who's going to be wrestling with Impact soon. It's El Phantasmo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, to me, take that, for example, as a reason. Like, having a New Japan guy on Impact bolsters New Japan. Having an Impact guy on AEW definitely bolsters AEW. It's never going to happen with the WWE. If somebody was collecting friggin' championships and going from brand to brand to brand, we would have... That's helping the competition. You know what I mean? And in this situation where AEW is a lot smaller, they don't mind helping the competition. So that's my point.
So I look at this a couple different ways. As of right now, I'm not a big fan, if I'm being frank.
Okay.
I think that Kenny is the shit. I love Kenny Omega. I think he will be a household name, at least in regards to pro wrestling, by the end of this year if they keep this up. Like I said this on the show multiple times, Kenny is about to break out in mainstream wrestling, and he's almost 40 years old. Like, let's think about that for a second. Like, my man's been around for a little bit, and he's just about to break out into the mainstream.
Crazy.
And with him being the main title holder at AEW, it's for the better as of right now. Now let's think about this from the Impact point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Impact is like, they're the smallest of the major promotions on TV right now every single week. Mm-hmm. And they, like, them working with AEW is definitely a boost by any means. Joe Black in the chat saying they're taking it back to old territory days using other wrestlers to help the business.
Exactly.
1000%. That's definitely what's happening. And my boy also loves John Morrison's entrance. But I think that like that practice, like we can't take not everything works nowadays from the old days of the territories. Like not everything works. And as of right now, I'm not saying it's not working, but I don't see the benefit for Impact besides them having Kenny Omega on their show. Like that's the only, unless there's a boost in ratings I just don't know about. I don't know.
I think that's it. That's why you do this.
And if that's the case, then by all means. But like, what happens when that ends? You know, like Kenny's not staying there.
No,
it's a matter of time before Kenny drops the belt to somebody, whether it's Rich Swann or
who's going to be the big conquering hero is going to be the thing. Who saves Impact Wrestling in that sense? You're going to be building up a new star. Whoever beats Kenny Omega in a lower scale. I'm not talking like, this is Daniel Bryan beating Triple H and then winning the WWE Championship in the main event. No,
right.
I'm making a point of this is a big moment for Impact because they're going to be able to either continue Rich Swann's rising star or they're going to be able to create a new star out of this.
Right.
And for a company like Impact that is never going to die, it's just not.
If it didn't die during the transition, if it didn't die after Global Wrestling, whatever the hell it was called,
Global Force Wrestling.
Global Force Wrestling.
Jeff
Thank you.
Jarrett is going to beat Kenny Omega for the Impact World Heavyweight. Yeah, and here's the thing: it's either that or we don't see the writing on the wall at this point. For all we know, a contract will have been signed, and Tony Khan already has played us and Owens Impact Wrestling. You know what I mean? It's just. It can only continue to benefit whoever it is. Now, it is interesting to bring up that AEW or Impact has announced a 6-man over-the-top rope battle royal to determine who is going to face Kenny Omega at their next pay-per-view.
Okay.
Which has a funny name. I think it's Beyond Enemy Lines or something like that.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. At Under Siege, that's what it is.
Under Siege. There we go.
Now, there already has been 3 competitors who have qualified for the number 1 contenders match. That would be Chris Bay.
Okay.
Sami Callihan.
Okay.
And Matt Cardona.
No shit. There's no way it's going to be that major, bro.
We have 3 spots left to fill. I have to imagine Rich Swann is one of them, and if he's not, then they shouldn't even have this match. And I say that just because it's like Rich Swann is eventually going to challenge Kenny again.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a second match.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's my thing, Chris Anthony Lopez. I'm going to say this as an overall thing.
Cardona.
I'm going to say this as an overall thing. TNA, Impact Wrestling for Slammiversary did a really weird promo that they released.
Oh, we're going to bring that up. Okay, cool. Okay.
I think that is important to bring up here because I think that this is going to lead to the main event of Slammiversary. And this is where this Kenny Omega thing benefits you and shoots your product up to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Because Impact's not dumb. They've been doing a lot of shit right lately. And if they do this right, this is going to be a big match. For TV, for American audiences who have heard of the legend of this match in New Japan. Now I'm just going to leave it at this. The promo has a lot of different wrestlers in it.
Oh, you're thinking... Okay, I know what you're
It has Samoa Joe. It has an Australian flag. And with the Knockout Championships, Tag Team Championships in Impact Wrestling, it only makes sense for the Iconics, because I forget their regular names other than Cassie Lee, to appear in Impact Wrestling. It has hints at every single superstar who's released by the WWE. But it also has Okada in it. It also has Okada in it. And we're talking Slammiversary. If you're telling me that the main event of Slammiversary could potentially be Impact Wrestling's Okada versus AEW's freaking Kenny Omega in the main event of Slammiversary, then this all makes sense to me.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't Kazuchika Okada currently the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes, he is. Let's merge them all.
Let's have a winner take all at Slammiversary. Kenny versus Okada. Winner takes the IWGP, AEW, TNA, and Impact World Championships all in one mother trucking night. I think, okay, if they were to do Okada Omega in the States, Lord Jesus. Like, I was one of the lucky few to go to All In and watch Kazuchika Okada wrestle the hell out of Marty Scurll, and it was absolutely incredible seeing Okada. It was weird. It's like an out of body experience watching Kazuchika Okada in person. So if TNA gets to do this, hopefully they get to do this in front of a live crowd.
Oh yeah,
it would be absolutely wild. But at the same time, when is Slammiversary? July?
Yes.
Okay, so we got some time to kill between now and then, and yeah, you got a lot of great talent over there at Impact. But as of right now, I don't see Kenny bringing in hundreds of thousands of people to watch Impact every week. And unless this whole partnership is going to last through this year, and whenever it stops, Impact would just go back to them being Impact. I actually agree with Joe's take right here. It's time for Impact to make a superstar and take them to the promised land, take them and to that next level, because they don't have that guy. They had to bring one from AEW to do that, to be that guy. Rich Swann was a great champion for what Impact was doing, but he's not Okada, he's not Omega, he's not Moxley, he's not Jericho, not Reigns, not Lashley, not McIntyre. He's not one of those type of guys that you can put the title on him and he's out here being that, I don't want to say household name, but for lack of a better term than that. Like you're not seeing my man out here do all these crazy things. Rich Swann is who I'm talking about, by the way, because like Impact's still treated as like that indie promotion. They just have a TV deal, and if Impact wants to break out of that, they don't have to. But if they want to break out of that, then you got to build somebody up, and they definitely have the star power to do so. Whether it is a Matt Cardona, which I will lose my mother trucking mind if a major bro is a world heavyweight champion in Impact, but we'll see. They got to get my man out of that feud with Brian Myers and put him into the main event picture, which obviously they're at least teasing us with that battle royal. So as of right now, I don't hate this whole Kenny stuff. I love Kenny Omega. Let me reiterate that. I love Kenny Omega. I will watch anything this man does. I just don't see how this will affect Impact or how this will impact Impact long term. Like, not just right now on April 30th, 2021.
W. Morrissey has just debuted for Impact Wrestling. And I want to know, since Rich Swann was a former Cruiserweight champion, why is Enzo Amore the one who's going to be taking the title off of Kenny Omega?
That's a great point. But since you brought him up, it's great seeing him. The man formerly known as Big Cass.
He looks in great shape, which he was not before.
Right.
But
so it's great seeing Big Cass.
So I'm not gonna call him out on that. I'm just saying, he looks great. He's going by William Morrissey, which is his actual name, I believe.
His shoot name, brother.
But W. Morrissey, which I don't know. That's just a weird name. But they're probably gonna try and build Cass to be the next big man. They tried to do that with him in the WWE. They had him in a number one contenders match before. Or no, they had him in the World Heavyweight Championship Fatal 4-Way with Kevin Owens in it. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's no freaking chance in hell that this guy's going to win the
No way, right? There's no way.
If Colin Cassidy wins the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship on Raw, That's like the greatest NXT story ever. To go from literally nothing on the main roster or in NXT to something on the main roster is a complete turnaround that never ends up happening.
Right. It's rarely happened. I think the last real instance of someone really breaking out of NXT, going right into the main title picture, was Finn Balor, but that was like 4 years ago, and we saw what happened to that.
Finn Balor had a career in NXT.
Oh yeah, he knew. Yeah, he made
and Enzo never even won a tag team championships.
He had a career in New Japan.
Heavy machinery of the comparisons between heavy machinery and oh, you good there, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, you were like frozen like this, and I was like,
no, you're fine. What's up?
The comparisons between heavy machinery and Enzo and Cass are disgustingly similar. They never won the tag team championships in NXT. They never won the tag team championships on the main roster. One of them is incredibly annoying. The other one got released before. It's just like, wow, heavy machinery and Enzo and Cass are like the same exact team.
And I didn't put that together until you mentioned it right now, and that's so gross. But, that's all squandered opportunity. Especially with Enzo and Cass. They really dropped the ball on that. Justin Cole in the chat, TNA hasn't been the same without AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. That whole era of TNA was that's when TNA was at its best, really.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, he's probably coming back.
He might.
I'm in belief that Samoa Joe has a place in Impact, especially if they're still working with AEW.
Yes.
Because if they're still working with AEW, then he can go home to the business that really was that stepping stone into the limelight for his career. Ring of Honor, I get it, but I only associate Samoa Joe. I don't even really associate Samoa Joe with WWE. I associate Samoa Joe with TNA.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Is Samoa Joe that guy that knocks Kenny Omega off? That very well could be the case if they go that route and he does come back to the company. Again, it was really just strange that they put together that package that had so many different names in it. That
I think they did that last year too, to rile up rumors.
They did though, and a lot of those superstars came to Impact though.
Right.
So I think all of them did.
It's not. I'm not gonna downplay the thought of that. I think it's highly possible that Impact, and maybe that's what, like, going back to what Joe's talking about in the chat, like maybe one of those folks is that key, and Impact's women's division's already on fire. If they were to add a Cassie Lee and a Jessie McKay, hell yeah. I can rock with that. That could be really, really fun.
It's got to be Samoa Joe out of that bunch, unless it's Okada. If it's Okada, oh my god!
I love Samoa Joe, but I'll take an Okada Omega match in a heartbeat.
I'm there.
Right.
I'm there. I mean, listen. The last memory of Samoa Joe in the WWE is him looking like Robert De Niro as he's wearing a poncho. So anything could be better for him than like what WWE was giving him. That said, I will take Okada Omega above Samoa Joe Omega any day.
Yes, facts, baby.
Unless he wants to make me want that more. You know what I mean?
Totally. And we'll see once Joe's 90 days are up. We gotta wait a little bit. We gotta wait a while. But speaking of waiting a while, Becky Lynch has been off TV for WWE for a little bit now, since after WrestleMania last year? So it's been over a year, or about a year, since we've seen Becky Lynch in a WWE ring. Nick, I think we should book how Becky Lynch should come back. Do you agree? So Becky Lynch is
the greatest transition from a segment I have ever heard for my entire life.
So Becky Lynch,
I'm allowed to pride you on your incredible transitions. I have
stop
to
it. Stop it. Becky Lynch has been off TV for about a year now, and Lord knows we miss her. Especially if you watch Raw every week, Lord knows we miss her. And Nick and I, we had the thoughts of, each one of us are booking how Becky Lynch should come back in our point of view. Now, Nick and I, we did not consult this. In our next fall as well, we did not consult that either.
Frankly, I forgot that this was even going to be a segment. I have it in my brain, don't get me wrong, from when we talked about it originally, but I'm like, oh, wrestling t-shirts. Wasn't that? But I was like, Becky Lynch, we could do that.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Anthony Lopez, though, I went first last segment.
Oh, yeah, I can go. Yeah, happily. So Becky Lynch, Raw. So let me preface this. Becky Lynch is going to Raw, staying on Raw forever and ever, ever. Amen. Like SmackDown doesn't need her. I stand by that, especially right now with the whole, they got Bianca and Bayley feuding once again. Okay, great. That's strong enough to continue until Sasha Banks comes back. Fantastic. But I don't think the Raw women's title picture is as strong as SmackDown's. Although it's crazy because if you think of the trios, SmackDown, it's Belair, Bayley, Banks. Raw is Ripley, Asuka, Charlotte. So I wouldn't be surprised if people take Group Raw over Group SmackDown on any given day. I don't blame you either. Like, I prefer the SmackDown ladies right now, but Raw might take the storylines away from what's going on. Pure talent, Raw's title picture right now is killer. Absolutely killer. I just hate how they're being booked every single week.
Absolutely.
So Becky could be that shots of adrenaline that you need going into a summer where fans may be coming back by August, where we may have a SummerSlam in front of a crowd. So you need Becky back. How do you book Becky Lynch back into the main title picture, back into WWE? Well, let me tell you. I think that you do not have Lynch versus Ripley until SummerSlam at the earliest. These two do not wrestle each other until SummerSlam. I think you kill time with Lynch and Charlotte between now and SummerSlam.
All righty. You just took the words right out of my mouth. So let's talk about this, because I don't even have to mention mine, because I'm sitting here going, hey, Charlotte's being a whiny bitch right now. Just bring Becky back and have her go, hey, Charlotte, stop being a whiny bitch right now. And then you just leave it at that.
Right. And look, so the next pay-per-view is WrestleMania.
She's not actually a whiny bitch.
We love Charlotte on this show. And thanks, Justin. That's what's up. But I think that Charlotte and Lynch should be feuding with each other starting after WrestleMania Backlash. And you do that until whatever the July pay-per-view is, which was like Battleground or something, like whatever that is, or Extreme Rules. So you do Lynch Charlotte. Like, Charlotte's out here cutting a promo after she loses whatever match she's a part of at WrestleMania Backlash. Let's say it's a triple threat: Asuka, Ripley, Charlotte. Charlotte she doesn't take the pin. Asuka takes the pin at Backlash, to my chagrin. Okay, great. Charlotte comes out on Raw the next day, like, I wasn't pinned. I am your queen. Look at my new gear, and it's awesome, right? And then, like, she's like whining and whining and whining as the great character that Charlotte Flair is, and then you hear the oh, and Becky comes back.
I would love for it to be in front of fans.
As much as I would love that to be the case, I don't think we're gonna get fans back weekly until the end of the summer at the earliest.
Right.
Which breaks my heart. But I think that's when Becky comes back. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they hold Becky off until SummerSlam. I would not be surprised at all, but I don't think that's the case. At least in my mind, in my perfect world, Becky comes back the Monday after WrestleMania Backlash. So Charlotte's in the ring, Becky comes out, and they do their little face-to-face, and they get into a little brawl. They feud with one another. You keep Asuka feuding with Ripley for whatever reason. You can make that. That's not the storyline I'm booking. I'm booking Lynch and Flair.
Which, by the way, though, I would like to just mention, because you mentioned WrestleMania Backlash, thank God Braun Strowman is in this match, because I didn't want every single match to just be a rehash of what we already got.
Yes. Facts, baby. So you keep you keep Lynch and Charlotte's like going into Money in the Bank, as my boy Justin mentioned right here in the comments, Money in the Bank, neither one of these ladies win Money in the Bank. I think Money in the Bank should be who's someone that could use Money in the Bank?
Shayna Baszler.
Sure. Yeah, Shayna Baszler. Let's say that for right now. So Shayna Baszler, it shouldn't be Charlotte or Lynch. They don't need it. You keep them feuding through Extreme Rules. You have the big blow off at Extreme Rules. Lynch moves on to wrestle Ripley at SummerSlam. And that's where you do it in front of a crowd. You give fans that highly anticipated rematch because they've wrestled each other once before, if I'm not mistaken, in WWE. It was in NXT. So you do Ripley, Lynch, SummerSlam, Ripley goes over. But I think
Really?
you have, I think you do. Lynch doesn't need the belt. You can have some shenanigans if you really want to, but I think Rhea, who will be the heel still, she'll be
sure.
she'll be
Becky
a
will
heel this
never
whole time.
Becky should never be a heel ever again.
Even if Becky pulls like the Steve Austin that she was doing before she left, like being the hardcore tweener, but we can't help but root for her.
Yes.
Then like you need someone to combat that, and a hardcore heel Rhea Ripley could do exactly that. Do that at a SummerSlam. Lynch loses. You continue this feud. You continue it maybe until Survivor Series, where Ripley will face Belair. Yeah, Bianca's still my champion through Survivor Series, but I think that's how you rock with it. I think Lynch should come back and elevate Ripley. Maybe you have her. Has she won a Rumble? Becky Lynch?
Yes. She won. She won the one that would have contended her for the Ronda Rousey.
Oh yeah. Duh. So okay. So yeah, you don't have her win the Rumble, but again, maybe you have her win the title at the Rumble again, and then Ripley, Lynch, Charlotte. Or no. How about this? Ripley, Lynch, Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Oh no, she's pregnant. We can make that work. Rousey, Lynch, Ripley, Flair, Fatal 4-Way, WrestleMania 38. Book it, Vince.
Book it, Vince. Chris Anthony Lopez, I just have to ask you a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Did you pull all of our stories this week from Bleacher Report?
Did I?
Because there's a segment about predicting when Becky Lynch comes back and an AEW WWE trade thing. I was just checking it for something.
First of all, the trade thing was fully inspired from Bleacher Report.
Okay.
The Becky Lynch thing was off the dome.
I was checking something real quick to see because I had heard rumblings about Becky's return, so I wanted to see if there was anything true to that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I thought the Lynch thing off the top of the dome when I texted you, and although the trade thing, which you will get to in a third count, was heavily inspired by
Hire my boy. Hire my boy. He's predicting your friggin' articles.
Was heavily inspired by Bleacher Report. Yes, because I thought it'd make for great combo. They didn't touch on it too much. I on the other hand touched on it a lot. I have a lot of names that are swapping brands. Yes. We'll get to that when we get there. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Lynch's return in your mind?
It's. I'm not trying to be like, oh my gosh, it's more or less the same thing. No, it really is. I don't see how Becky doesn't win the championship initially. I think
how she doesn't.
Yeah, just because she'll be so hot coming back. The WWE misses her a lot. They had some serious plans for her continuing to move forward, and then, as the Kylie Jenner meme would say, and then I was pregnant. It's just, I don't know what matches I want out of this. I mean, if they return her as a heel, she's attacking Asuka straight up.
Yes.
I don't know why, but she is. Mm-hmm. But I think that, and I hate for Asuka to become that, like, hey, we need a face to team up with against Charlotte and Rhea. Let's put her with Asuka. You know what I mean? I could totally see those types of matches happening. But I think that they're a perfect opportunity to get not even the ring rust off of her, you know what I mean? Is pair her up with Charlotte. They're best friends. They are perfect for each other. They're the Rock and Steve Austin of the women's revolution. You know what I mean? It's just like Becky Lynch compares to Stone Cold Steve Austin, in my opinion, in so many more ways than I could ever imagine. The way that it was just something she said that got her over. You know what I mean? It was, a perfect example of a wrestler getting themselves over, but WWE being like, "Oh, hey, never mind." Same thing though, but WWE also kind of is realizing that Charlotte Flair is the best heel that they have women's wise.
Word.
Though I do think Bayley's up there. Sasha's too much of a tweener for me to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Bayley, but I could totally see why people are like, she's like the Miz of the women's division. Because she's so annoying that I...
Oh, sure, sure.
So, I guess, long story short, because you did make a lot of my points, but I'm not mad at that, because, like, in my opinion, the writing was on the wall.
Justin brings up a great point in the chat, saying that the only way I see Becky coming back to Raw is if Rollins goes to Raw. I totally did space on Rollins being on SmackDown, but with the Pandy right now, like, they're not going anywhere. They're not leaving whatever arena they're at right now.
Worry about that right now, and I think eventually she does move to wherever Rollins is, and
or vice versa.
You're gonna get. Oh yeah, WWE stock in Becky Lynch is considerably higher, in my opinion, than it would be in Seth Rollins, and that's nothing against Seth Rollins. It's just she moves merch. You know what I mean?
I think Seth would go as far as agreeing with you in that case.
Well,
there's more upside to Becky than there is to
that is how you
Seth.
should always be about your lady.
That too.
But I was about to go. The writing is on the wall. Lock it, because that's what it says behind me. But no, I mean, the writing is on the wall. It should, but for you it says GAM. But
yes, it's childish.
Childish GAM. But it's just like, in my opinion, pair her up with Charlotte. It's so easy. They might honestly be trying to go that route. So,
and to address your point, Justin, if they were to send Lynch to SmackDown, obviously you have to put her with Bianca. I think it's obvious.
Which is terrible, because I don't want that championship reign to end so soon. But in my opinion,
I think right now Becky doesn't need the belt. I think Rhea and Bianca are more than capable of carrying their respective divisions. But I'm scared that they will put the belt on Lynch regardless, because she didn't get to properly end her reign after her beating Shayna last year at WrestleMania.
Well, can I pose a different thought to you?
Okay.
Just a few minute hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they do this because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense money-wise. Because again, Becky Lynch will make you money.
Right.
Just like a lot of the wrestlers. I mean, it's a business. Clearly they are cutting wrestlers for budgetary reasons. So, bring back Becky Lynch and you might sell some t-shirts. There you go. You're making up your money again. You can sign Samoa Joe back, you freaking idiots. That said, Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. What do the three of those women have in common that Becky Lynch does not? Is that they are SmackDown Women's Champions, Raw Women's Champions, and NXT Women's Champions.
Oh, son of a bitch. You're going to send her back to NXT?
Be ballsy as shit to send her back to NXT just so she could win that title. Now, they could pull that move for a WrestleMania type match. I don't think you're going to wait that long to get her back. But if you think about it, she hasn't won the NXT Women's Championship, just like the other 4 horsewomen. So that's just something I want to throw out there to be a little bit of a fun thing. I honestly do think that there is no chance in hell that she does not come back the Raw after WrestleMania Backlash even just to call out Charlotte for being Charlotte. But I'm not saying Raquel Gonzalez. I'm saying Io beats Raquel and Becky Lynch versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship would be one hell of a match. I mean, listen, Raquel could carry a match with Becky, don't get me wrong. But Io versus Becky would be one hell of a match, Chris Anthony Lopez.
Man.
Or I'm gonna blow your mind even more. Shotzi Blackheart versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship.
My heart. I'll cry. My heart, bro. You just mentioned you said, how dare you say Shotzi Blackheart's name? How dare you? Because you know I'm gonna agree. I'm never gonna say no to a Shotzi Blackheart match, especially if it's with Becky Lynch. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Like, I would love to see a Shirai Lynch #1 contenders match for the NXT Women's Championship, and then the winner faces Raquel.
Yeah. I
don't see Raquel losing that belt anytime soon, and when she does, I think it'll be to Dakota Kai, if I'm being frank.
For sure. No.
But that's one hell of a theory, Nick. But
it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, though.
I mean, when Charlotte went to NXT last year, they had her beat Ripley at WrestleMania last year.
Right, but I'm saying in the context of right now's WWE.
Sure.
If this was around WrestleMania time, then I would totally see them doing it.
Sure.
I could totally see it at this WrestleMania show. The way to bring her back was Io Shirai versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Damn it.
Or Raquel versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. But I don't think that they would have. I don't think they would have dropped the title from Raquel so soon, and it makes no sense for Becky to face the NXT Women's Champion without her winning it. In my opinion, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just because that would knock off another milestone for her, so they're all technically Grand Slam champions within. Technically speaking, she hasn't won the tag team championships either, and that's something that they've all done as well. Now, who teams with Becky? I have no freaking clue. Charlotte would be the only one that makes sense, and she should never turn face ever again.
No.
I don't know. And heel Becky Lynch does not make any sense to be teaming with anybody per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Asuka, Becky Lynch, just so Asuka can be the latter half of another tag team championship reign. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Before we move on, I want to shout out these comments in the chat because some of these are pretty damn awesome. Joe in the chat, Becky is Stone Cold's illegitimate daughter. It took us a while to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Because Lord knows that gimmick she had beforehand wasn't doing it for me.
At least she's not a river dancer.
Right, thank God. Joe hates Seth's gimmick, the Friday Night Messiah. Not a fan.
I think they're getting away from what it originally was, though.
Yes.
Which is feuding with Dominic and Rey Mysterio. So
thank God.
Now we just get to see them face against Chad Gable and Otis every week.
Oh, Jesus. Joe Black in the chat. Becky doesn't need the belt right now. She can still be top wrestler without it. That'll forever be the case. I think the man proved to us that Becky doesn't need a belt. They gave her all the belts, but she'll need them.
No, and you both are more than correct in that situation.
And this last one.
I just don't think that they're going to wait long until they give it back to her.
If any, I mean, yeah, especially if ratings on Raw keep going down, I think a Becky title reign will do something to help with that.
Yes.
Especially with AEW creeping right behind them. But this last one, Joe, Becky versus Candice. Becky Lynch versus Candice LeRae. Joe. Oh my God.
That would be good.
That's
Becky Lynch versus Taya Valkyrie, because I'm not going to call her Frankie Monet even. We haven't even seen Frankie Monet. We haven't even seen WWE's Paris Hilton fight yet. So, like,
we haven't seen her wrestle yet. Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot that they can do with Becky when she comes back. An NXT run is not going to happen. That's not in the card.
If it's gonna happen, it has to happen before they go back on tour with live events.
Yeah. So
no, Joe, you weren't trolling. You were on something, Joe. Don't say that. You were on something. You're on something.
With Candice and
yeah, he said he was trolling. No, you're not. Don't say that. You're on something, dude.
Oh no. That's the mixed tag team match you want. Seth and Becky versus Gargano. Yeah, I know.
We need to stop talking about this before my brain explodes.
Okay, well, that said, let's talk some wrestling trades, Chris Anthony Lopez.
So, as Nick pointed out a little bit ago, Bleacher Report had this great article. There was a few different things that the writers were talking about, and one of them was trades between AEW and WWE about this trading talent to just they can get a better scene or they'd be used better in their respective areas, which is crazy to think that wrestlers from AEW would do better in WWE. Shocking, right? Yeah, some of them would. And I told Nick about it. Nick was down for it. So we included all promotions if we went that far. I went through four different promotions. And Nick, I want to ask you, what's your first ideal trade? It doesn't have to be like a 1-for-1, 2-for-2, 3-for-3, whatever. Just give me a wrestler you think would do better on a different brand or a different promotion.
Kevin Owens in AEW.
That's risque, dude.
It is, but like I'm only thinking about Mox and Eddie Kingston in this situation.
Sure.
I just want to see Eddie Kingston face Kevin Owens. That's really the only reason why I do that. And I don't think that Eddie Kingston works in WWE. It's just the unfortunate part about it where he was offered an NXT deal. He turned it down and he went over to AEW. And, I'm not entirely all that mad about that. But I think it would be really, really interesting to see Kevin Owens. And let me think about this trade right here. Because then I'll get into my AEW superstar, who I think should go over to the WWE.
Okay.
And it's going to be a controversial one.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
Because I want Rusev back in the WWE. I want Rusev back in the WWE because I think that SmackDown is becoming more and more of a space for a guy like him. Where it was the land of opportunity while he was there, and we know it really wasn't.
It was for a little bit.
It was for a little bit. I know Jinder Mahal was the WWE champion.
Right.
But give me a Cesaro-type run with Rusev. And also somehow throw Luchasaurus into the deal so he can face Braun Strowman. There you go.
You said Braun Strowman versus Luchasaurus? Lord. Here, let me acknowledge the first one you said. So Kevin Owens to AEW. It's funny that you say that because there's a one from the original article that's from Bleacher Report that I kept. There's one that I kept. Joe Black in the chat saying Rusev Day needs to come back.
Right.
I mean, my man Miro just turned on Kip Sabian. I want to see where that goes on Dynamite. But I think Eddie Kingston can work well in WWE only if he teams with Kevin Owens. That's the only way I want Eddie Kingston in WWE. That's the only way.
Oh, yeah.
Like single star, I feel like Vince would be like, well, "Who's this guy?" Like I don't want Eddie Kingston by his lonesome. Only if you team him up with Kevin Owens, and they absolutely murder everybody in their way. They tear apart the SmackDown tag scene. They go over the Raw. They take those belts too. They go to NXT. Take those belts too. They go to NXT UK. Take them belts too. Like I think that Eddie Kingston and Kevin Owens are money. So I agree with your sentiment. I just think that they're money together as a team in WWE. I think that AEW's tag scene's a little too meh for me, especially right now as it stands. But you're pitching singles. I mean, let's be real. Kevin would do great. Kevin Steen would do great in Impact, or not Impact. Oh, I mean Impact probably, yeah. But in the Dynamite Zone, Justin Cole in the chat. Rusev, Miro on SmackDown would be great. I also miss Jack Swagger in the WWE.
I do too. And I was watching. So WrestleLamia did a no reaction, or basically like a dead crowd type reaction list about like superstars coming back, and Jack Swagger challenging and needing to be in the Elimination Chamber match. For one of them, I don't even remember which one it is. Was like the lamest reaction ever. When he came out and told somebody, there's Teddy Long, maybe he's like, "I want to be in the Elimination Chamber match." Now, Great Khali was in the background, so this couldn't have been a great chamber, anyways.
Right.
And I'm talking red trunk Khali, not black trunk Khali.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
So I'm just saying,
Punjabi Playboy.
I think that Jack Swagger would do. Would I think that the relationship is still there as well. I heard that like Vince called him for his first Bellator match and was like, "Hey, I hope you do well, son." So it's just like
Justin Cole. I would even go crazy if they brought back Ken Shamrock. Now that's wishful thinking. Like, I mean, all these are wishful thinking. But
that got The Rock banned from the WWE because he appeared on Impact Wrestling. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Dwayne Johnson will never appear on WWE TV again.
Because my man inducted Ken Shamrock to the Impact Hall of Fame.
That's right.
That's some real shit. I remember that. He was so happy to do it too. Yo, so Swagger was not in my initial list. I like Jake Hager as he is with the Inner Circle. I think he's being used as well as he can be in a promotion like that. I don't see him being a top guy anywhere. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he won't hold the AEW World Championship. It just won't be anytime soon, especially with the Inner Circle still being a thing. A name I'm gonna throw out there. This is an oddball pick. Ricochet. I think Ricochet is a guy that I think deserves so much better than he's given. My man's on main event all the time, and I hate it so much.
It's terrible.
I'm sending his ass to the X Division in Impact. If I had to do an even trade ski, I would do here, check this shit. My one Impact wrestler that I wanted, because I thought like Impact is essentially AEW adjacent right now, as much as I hate to admit it, and I couldn't see any of those guys succeeding in the WWE model. But the guys I don't see working. The ladies, on the other hand,
one, but I'll let you keep going.
Where the ladies, I think we do even trade ski 1-for-1. Ricochet to Impact, Kiera Hogan to WWE. I love this girl's look. I love this girl as a wrestler. You can always go. There's a bunch of. You can take any of the women right now in Impact and take them over to WWE, and they would be either in NXT's women's division, which is already on fire. Put them on SmackDown, they're great. Put them on Raw, they're going to lose to Charlotte every week. So I think that Kiera Hogan would be one hell of a fit in either NXT or SmackDown's women's divisions. Like, it would be so damn cool. And seeing Ricochet, or how he would go back to Prince Puma, seeing Prince Puma in the X division versus in this Manic? New Impact. Oof. What'd you say?
Prince Puma versus Manic would light my world on fire.
Give me some more. And I know my man Joe Black in the chat saying Ricochet would do better on AEW, in my opinion. I totally understand that. I have a few other guys that I want to go to AEW. So for the sake of this, and honestly, it was the first one I mentioned on my little list guy. I think Ricochet to Impact would be different. It would be kind of weird, but it wouldn't be Ricochet. It'd be Prince Puma. I think you should go back to the Prince Puma moniker, put that mask back on, and wreck the X division. Because I think Impact's on the up and up. As much as I was talking shit about them like an hour ago, I think Impact's on the up and up, especially if they make some right decisions and they use his AEW, or AEW gives them enough leeway to grow. besides Kenny being their top dog. So Ricochet to Impact and Kiera Hogan, who I adore watching. I think she's great. She's younger. I think she's only a few years older than us. So I'm like, yo, like her future is bright. And I think Bianca Belair is older than her. So I'm like, yo, like your boy loves some strong female black wrestlers. Send Kiera Hogan, have her wrestle Sasha Banks every day of the goddamn week, every single show that you can think of. Yes, please give me some more. Justin Cole in the chat. Vince Russo for making Impact needs a better TV deal, but you can thank Vince Russo for making Impact fall apart. Impact does need a better TV deal. Twitch isn't going to cut it every single week on top of whatever channel they're on now.
So here's one for you.
Hit me.
Send Shayna Baszler to Impact so she could wrestle ODB and she could wrestle circles around everybody. Mm-hmm. Even though I think that they do have they have one of the best women's divisions. Mm-hmm. And I would send her to AEW for that reason because they don't have a very good one. But I just need to figure out a way to get Moose into the WWE. Right? I mean, like, you got to admit that Moose fits the damn mold for, like, Vince McMahon loving big sweaty men.
Yes, especially right now, big sweaty black men. Moose does fit the mold.
Yeah, he went from you mean my son is Caucasian to Bobby Lashley being the WWE champion. So hey, we're making progress, right?
And let the record show, I lied about Ricochet being my only one to Impact. I also put Shayna Baszler to Impact on my list. It just got squished between two other people.
It makes sense, even though AEW's women's division needs Shayna Baszler desperately right now, even though Britt Baker's the greatest wrestler in the world.
Later, Joe. Thanks for hanging out, brother.
Thanks for coming on. Even though Britt Baker's the greatest wrestler in the entire world, don't at me. Or at me. I don't know.
I'll at you later. It's okay.
Is WWE, or I mean, Impact, or Baszler on Impact would just be the greatest thing in the entire world. And again, it's that dream match with ODB that I really would want. Because I like ODB a lot. But, Moose in the WWE, man. Moose in the WWE.
Him versus Lashley in WWE now is pretty good.
Versus Moose would be the greatest.
Damn it.
Drew McIntyre versus Moose again.
Big E versus Moose.
Big E versus Moose. Drew McIntyre versus Moose has happened before. And it's been a great match.
Yo.
Moose almost went to the WWE recently, I think. So, like, it's been tantalizing our taste buds for a very long time.
Damn it. That's a good one. I like the Moose pick.
I mean, like, you got to look at it like this. Baszler is a freaking masterpiece of a wrestler.
Yes. Baszler's your top women's champion in any other promotion.
So it makes sense to trade her for Moose. Send Moose to WWE to face against Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. Love it.
Damn, I love that Moose one, and I'm glad we agreed. I let the record show I do have Shayna Baszler on my list. Right in between, here I'll actually rattle these off. I have a few going to AEW. I have four men: Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Drew Gulak, and this one again. This might sound contradictory to what I've been saying the last month on Wrestle Reel. Cesaro.
Yeah.
So
because he's never going to win the WWE Championship.
And I have a caveat with that, and I'll get to it in a second. So Cedric Alexander, my man needs to change the scenery bad. They split him up from the Hurt Business. Huge mistake. Him and Shelton leaving the Hurt Business was a huge mistake. And I think him going with his wife, Big Swole, makes a lot of sense. And Shelton, I'm glad you came back, brother. I really am. But I think WWE wasn't the move, and I think people are slowly starting to realize that WWE wasn't what they signed up for, especially Mickey James. I see you, Mickey. Go ahead, speak your truth. But Shelton and Cedric, I think, would do wonders in AEW, especially AEW's tag division. Obviously both these guys are no strangers to tag team matches. They're both really good at it. And seeing Cedric with Big Swole would be pretty damn cool too. They can wrestle each other. Shit, I'd be cool with that as well. Drew Gulak. I know he was a big part of training Bad Bunny for the WrestleMania match, and thank God he did, because Bad Bunny did great. Thank you, Drew Gulak. But my man can still go, and my man is being squandered just as a trainer. Unless my man wants to do that, then by all means. But if you still want to be a trainer, AEW has a lot of young talent that could use some bolstering, or be a part of the Nightmare family, because geez, everybody's part of the Nightmare family. I feel like the Nightmare family is the new NWO. Everybody's a part of it. I'm a part of it now. So thank you. So I think that Drew Gulak can do some wonders, especially if he's training dudes or wrestling dudes and making them better in the process. Have him wrestle on Elevation every week. Shit, he's wrestling more. He'd wrestle more on that than he would in WWE proper. Like that's just some real shit. And Cesaro. If you don't make him the WWE Universal Champion by the end of this year, his ass should go. Like I'm sorry, man. Like I totally understand why people love Roman Reigns. Shit, I love Roman Reigns. I love what he's doing right now. He's one of the best gimmicks in wrestling as we stand at the moment. I love Roman. He's doing some of the best of his whole career, and I'll get to Roman in my high spot in a second. But damn it, just do it. What's there? And maybe they're waiting for fans to come back, so that's why I give them to the end of the year. So say fans come back at Survivor or at SummerSlam. Put the belt on Cesaro and see what happens. Just see what happens. Give him a month. If it sucks, have Roman beat the shit out of him the next pay-per-view. And then you can just say you did it to shut people like me up, and we call it a day. But how the hell is Cesaro having the best run of his best run of his WWE career, and you not put the belt on him by the end of this calendar year? How in the fudge ripple? Truly, I know they want Roman to wrestle Lesnar, Cena, The Rock. That's great. But at least give Cesaro a run with that belt. And if he doesn't, hypothetically, if it's up to me, you're trading his ass to AEW, and in return, you're getting a guy like Eddie Kingston, Christian Cage, selfishly. That's the only reason why I have him, because I want him in WWE, or Scorpio Sky. Like I think that Cesaro would be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion if he was there. He would be. Like him versus Omega would be, oh my Lord Jesus. Kenny Omega versus Cesaro every week on Dynamite? Are you kidding me, bro? Like I stand by the Cesaro thing. But if you have to make a trade evenly, Scorpio Sky. Talk about black dudes that are really good at what they do. Scorpio Sky. And they put him with Ethan Page. Why? I mean, I get it, but why?
Because it's Ethan Page.
I get it. It's Ethan Page. He's really damn good. But Scorpio Sky, I would die to see Scorpio Sky versus anybody in WWE. I really would.
Yeah.
I love Scorpio Sky, and I'm biased, but Cesaro to AEW, Christian Cage selfishly to WWE is another one. Eddie Kingston, already talked about him. Scorpio Sky to WWE selfishly, probably. And I want to mention 3 more. Nick, unless you have any more, Nick.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
And one of them is just like, oh, because he was a WWE guy and he's great there. And we all know Chris Jericho should be back with the WWE. That said, the person that I would trade is just as large as life, but WWE, you keep fucking up with them so badly. That's my one. I'm not only saying send Bray Wyatt, but I'm saying send the Firefly Funhouse gimmick to AEW.
Lord Jesus Christ.
And make him into your creepy Undertaker. There you go.
Wow.
Because WWE, as much as I fucking love Bray Wyatt, I took yours. As much as I love Bray Wyatt,
man,
you're not doing anything correctly with him.
Wow.
So give me Bray Wyatt able to be himself and continue to create the mythos of this incredible character that he created, where we can get more career retrospective matches as time goes on. With Chris Jericho, yes, please. Even though I guess I would be sending it to, but Christian Cage, Big Show,
those would be fun.
He can make an entire segment about turning face and turning heel. Literally, it would be incredible. Kenny Omega, John Moxley.
There'd be some good ones. There'd be some really good ones.
Maybe not as much, but still, it's just like, give me, or even send Bray Wyatt to goddamn Japan. That would be insane. That character in Japan would be nuts. But okay, sorry. So what were your last few?
No, you're fine, dude. I would prefer, if we're gonna send Bray somewhere, which I did think about as well, send him the Impact, because look what they let Matt Hardy do with the broken stuff. And I think Impact now, they'd be more cool with the more cinematic stuff. I mean, they're no stranger to it. The last few, I have 3 more. 2 of them are ladies from AEW. This is a lie. This is another one I kept from the article because I thought it was a great idea. Jade Cargill from AEW to WWE. I think it would be pretty damn cool. We stand black women over here at Wrestle Reel. And Chris Statlander to WWE. I know she's great in AEW, and she just got back from her ACL injury, and she's so cute. She's my favorite alien, but damn it, I need her in WWE, wrestling my favorite ladies on the planet. Even if you send her to NXT, man, I would love to see Statlander and Candice LeRae, Statlander and Io Shirai, Statlander and Frankie Monet.
Dakota Kai and her can have one of those mirror matches where they're just going at each other in the ring.
Right, dude. There's so much fun. I love Chris Statlander.
Each other, in my opinion.
Selfishly, I want Chris Statlander in WWE. The last one's a little bit weird, and my man's going to AEW because WWE doesn't know how to handle Latinos. Bandito from Ring of Honor to AEW. Bandito is one of my favorite wrestlers working right now. I think he is. He's one of those standout luchadors. I love my man's look. I've seen him wrestle once, and I fell in love with him that one time. He's in Ring of Honor right now. Ring of Honor is a total shit show, and I would love him to be on a bigger platform. I know from time to time he wrestles with PWG, or he used to wrestle PWG, and he wrestles in Mexico. But seeing what Penta and Ray Phoenix are doing right now in AEW compared to literally any Mexican wrestlers are doing right now in WWE, I would love to see Bandito do something fun in AEW, even pair him up with Pentagon or with Penta and with Ray Phoenix. Yeah. But again, that's a selfish pick, but I stand by it 1,000%. But none of those are going to happen because the Forbidden Door is not that open. Yeah, that's cool.
Hashtag Luchasaurus versus Braun Strowman.
Yo, Luchasaurus versus anybody, and I can't wait. I need to order my Luchasaurus fig. I didn't do that yet.
I need to as well.
But Nick, I think it's that time of the show, Bubba.
I think it is as well.
Let's do it. For those who don't know what a high spot is, I love
how you explain it every single episode. It's beautiful.
You never know. We have a new viewer. So high spots are Nick and I's unpopular opinions, hot takes, things we want to get off our chests. Usually it's me whining, bitching, and complaining about something, but this week it's not. I don't have anything to complain about this week. I actually would like to start the Daniel Bryan prayer circle.
Oh, okay, yes. We talked about this.
Yes. So Daniel Bryan tonight is wrestling Roman Reigns in about 38 minutes from now, as of this recording. At least that's when SmackDown starts. But we'll see Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan Universal Championship match. If Daniel Bryan loses, he's banished from SmackDown. A lot of speculation saying he's going to Raw, which, okay, fine if he is. But
more of an opportunity to win a world championship before he ends his career.
Yes. But I can't help but think that this is Daniel Bryan's send-off as being a full-time competitor on WWE programming.
Yeah.
I know they're not building that up to be the case, and
They are. No.
I may be blowing this out of proportion. I may be acting dramatic, which I mean, what's new? But I think that Daniel Bryan, if this were to be his last time on SmackDown in WWE, and he goes to Raw part-time or full-time or whatever the hell, I think his WWE career, I believe, is coming to an end. Maybe not like retirement yet, but I'm feeling some type of way about this match. I really am. I'm probably way more emotional about this. And again, I may be overblowing it. I may be thinking too much about it, but I'm viewing this as like, yo, this may be Daniel Bryan's last time on WWE programming. It could totally be. I know my man's been outspoken recently about what he thinks what he wants to do, what he thinks of the WWE product, how he wants to wrestle for other promotions and WWE, not just Vince's Playhouse. But if this truly is Daniel Bryan's last time on WWE programming, at least on SmackDown, the A show, then damn, what a run, dude. Like that's even after his comeback from injury, like it's some real shit. Daniel Bryan on SmackDown just makes a lot of sense to me. It's like it's not to that same level, but it's a lot like Kurt Angle on SmackDown, Edge on SmackDown, Rey Mysterio on SmackDown, Batista on Raw. You know, like there are just certain wrestling characters on certain brands that you just that you equate to. I think AJ Styles is a SmackDown guy. When I think of AJ Styles on a brand, I think of SmackDown, because I think that's where my man's WWE career was solidified, on that brand. When he went to Raw, huge mistake. When I think of Raw, I think of Randy Orton. I think of like a John Cena, guys like Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns even. Like I think of guys like that. But Daniel Bryan had to put on SmackDown. It just feels right to me. So I think that if tonight is Daniel Bryan's last time on SmackDown forever, in WWE's term of forever, then damn, I'm really upset. But because let's be real, if my man wins the Universal Championship tonight, I'm losing my goddamn mind.
Well, I don't think he's going to, but
I don't think he's going to either.
Can I fantasy book this? Because
yeah, sure.
Remember last time I fantasy booked this and had something in my head? They fired the guy.
Right.
I think Daniel Bryan is going to win tonight. Via disqualification after Edge spears him.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to get the "it should have been me" storyline with Edge and Daniel Bryan. Because I think that Edge is still going to be feeling remorse about the fact that Daniel Bryan basically interrupted his Royal Rumble win.
Right.
It's going to be heel Edge versus Daniel Bryan. Money in the Bank, blah, 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 blah. I think that is your... And then Edge or Daniel Bryan will face against Roman at SummerSlam.
Ooh.
Because there's nobody else. If a guy from SmackDown wins Money in the Bank, then it's going to be another waste of Money in the Bank. Sorry. It's true. If Otis wins Money in the Bank, I'm going to go jump out of that window.
Next I heard throwing stuff.
Yeah, throwing shit now. That said, I honestly, it's a high spot because it's a controversial opinion. I think Edge, who hasn't been on SmackDown, feels a certain way about Daniel Bryan right now. I mean, Daniel Bryan versus Edge, you know, in WWE terms, we obviously know that the whole plan was so they could make a t-shirt that has Roman Reigns pinning two people on it.
Right.
That said, Edge could have wrestled Daniel Bryan one-on-one in kayfabe terms and won the match. Or I mean, Roman one-on-one in kayfabe terms and then won the match. That's going to be, I think, the direction that they end up going with the storyline. But I hope that Daniel Bryan wins via disqualification or wins the championship, even though I don't think that he's going to.
I couldn't agree with you more. Our boy Justin Cole in the chat. Universal and Intercontinental Championship is on the line tonight. Universal title is what I'm looking forward to. Probably the biggest match WWE and SmackDown has had all year. Woo! That's high praise. I think the Universal title picture right now has been awfully interesting since Daniel Bryan's inclusion. I've gone on record saying that on the show multiple times.
By the way, he did not want it. Apparently, he didn't even want to be in the main event.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I just figured I'd bring it up.
Right, and I mean it's totally valid to bring it up, but I'm hoping that Daniel Bryan doesn't go away, at least from SmackDown. I hope you're right, Nick. I really hope you're right. But before we wrap the show, per usual, Nick, did we miss anything, Bubba?
No, I don't think so. Other than my point that I was going to make about the wrestling T-shirts. John Cena's the man when it comes to wrestling T-shirts. He's like Rey Mysterio's mask to shirts. What was, I have to ask this, Chris. What was your favorite John Cena T-shirt? I like the purple one a lot and the orange one a lot.
I own the orange one with the 15 on the back. So I guess by default, that one's my favorite. But when I think of John Cena T-shirts, I think of two of them. I think of the green John Deere looking one.
Yes.
And I think of the Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect Bulldog on the front or on the back.
I also the 8-bit one.
Yes, John Cena's had a lot of great wrestling T-shirts.
Well, and it's because they sell like fucking hotcakes.
Right. That's I think like John Cena is definitely the king of T-shirts, at least wrestling shirts. He's had a bunch. I mean, The Rock's like Fruity Pebble, freaking like whatever you said. But nah, the orange one is probably my favorite by default. I also love the blue ribbon inspired one. I like that one a lot too. John Cena has a lot of great T-shirts. One day I'll buy a bunch of John Cena T-shirts. One of these days. But yeah, we didn't miss anything, Bubba. That's gonna do it for Wrestle Reel this week, baby.
That's right.
Crisp, easy and crisp. Follow us on the Twitters down at the bottom and on Instagram. Make sure you follow us there as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitch. And if you're watching us on Facebook, like the Facebook page. Like us if you're watching us on YouTube, again, subscribe, follow us on social media, of course, but like the video, leave a comment if you're watching this after the fact. It does mean a lot to us. Thank you so much. Shout out to all those in the chat tonight, whether it's Justin, what's up, Justin, Joe, Shug, a little bit earlier. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. And I mean, damn, Nick, Vince's real illegitimate son, Nick Molbach. It's a pleasure, brother. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
As always, I'm sorry I became Scott Steiner today. Thank you, everybody, for showing up for some Wrestle Reel. We love you. We appreciate you. Luchasaurus versus Braun Strowman.
Give me a fucking mic! And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold